Now, flexible or foldable display technology is not new, but the hype from certain manufacturers to use this technology within phones/tablets in 2018 really jumped up a notch. 2018, which was the year of the notch. Huh? That was good. Huge companies like Samsung and Huawei were racing to be the first ever company to produce a foldable phone/tablet, but right at the end of 2018, a much smaller brand in the form of Royole or Royole or Rolo announced the Flexpai, and this was the world's first foldable phone. Now, while that in itself is incredibly impressive, after listening to tons of you guys in the comments on my previous videos and social media posts, and obviously of course having a few opinions on this myself, in this video we're going to be looking at why I feel that on a fundamental level the whole foldable phone/tablet idea is far less than ideal. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Right, so this is my final day in Las Vegas for CES 2019. I've had an absolutely amazing time, but because of the lighting and audio for these videos, I can't wait to get back to the studio, if I'm being deadly honest. So once again, I apologise if those two things are slightly below par, but like the last video, I feel the content is worth sticking around for, because it is a massive talking point right now. Now, first thing that I must point out, this is not a personal attack on Royole as a company, or even the product, the Flexpai itself. You know, far from it. What they've been able to achieve on a shoestring budget is nothing short of incredible. It's more talking about the area of foldable phones in general. I'm just simply going to be using the Royole Flexpai as a point of reference because they are the first company to have produced a readily available consumer product. So for a little bit of context, Royole as a company started in 2012, but the American company based in California with offices also in Hong Kong and China didn't originally start producing products such as phones and tablets. This is actually their first adventure into this area. Considering this is their first My accent's gone even stranger. So considering this isn't kind of their first phone device, massive kudos and hats off to them for this, because what they've achieved is remarkable. Also, the release of this product is always going to be a win-win, because even if it doesn't sell well, they've put their company on the map, beating the likes of Samsung and Huawei to be the world's first company to produce a device such as this. You know, those sorts of companies have a massive, almost bottomless pit for marketing and production, so beating them to the punch is certainly nothing to be sniffed at. Punch hole? The next display trend in 2019? That's 2 in 1 video. These are comedy gold right here. So the Flexpai is the first commercially available flexible smartphone/tablet using a flexible AMOLED display. And with the Snapdragon 855, 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 or 256 gigabytes of storage, it certainly has all of the top readily available specs. And don't get me wrong, I love the innovation. You know, I absolutely love the fact that things like this are actually, possible in early 2019, especially when we've been crying out for new things in a fairly stagnant market over the last few years in the smartphone and tablet area. You know, the last few generations of devices with incremental updates, it's nice to see something that is truly different. You know, it looks very futuristic. If you want to be someone who looks like they've traveled back in time from 2032 with the latest device, then there's that. You can also now have a phone and tablet all in one. You don't have to have 2 different devices. Brilliant real estate for viewing media, for example. There's also a dual camera mode. So when the device is folded in half, one side of the display will show the photo taker what's going on, and the reverse side, the actual person who's being photographed can see how the shot's going to look as well. So things like that are going to be very useful. Although the possibilities for that on dual display smartphones in general is kind of also there. Also baked into the device is edge display technology, so that you can actually have apps on the edges when the device is folded, much like we've seen with some of the Samsung devices with their edge technology. Again, some people won't think that that's useful, but others might. Other people that do use that on their Samsung devices, for example, will find that very helpful. So first and foremost, how is this product made? Well, now the actual display is 0.1 millimeter thick, which means that they're able to bend this display over apparently 200,000 times in that small hinge space without causing any damage, although in real-time use nobody's really tested it. Now it can do this because as well as using this ultra thin display, they also have accompanied that with a really durable, flexible plastic casing. And this kind of leads me to my first problem with these foldable devices, and that is because they are having to use a plastic over a more traditional, in recent years anyway, glass, you're straight away losing that premium feel in the hand, in my opinion, when I went hands-on with it at CES. You know, it looks far less premium, it feels far less premium, and if you're spending upwards of and over £1,000, $1,000, are you going to be wanting a device which is less premium than a normal smartphone? One that uses the likes of metal, glass, ceramic, all of these different products which have been baked into phones' hardware in recent years. You know, do people want to be going back to using plastics again? I don't know, do you? Let me know in the comment section below. Are you happy to use plastic for this sort of device? Or if you're spending that sort of money, are you going to want something that looks and feels a bit more premium? I don't know. The Flexpai also runs with Water OS, which is their sort of skin over the top of Android. Now obviously a lot needs to be going on under the surface for a device like this to actually function. You know, switching between portrait and landscape and foldable modes. And here's another problem with the Flexpai itself. At this moment in time anyway, laggy, buggy, it certainly doesn't feel like a finished product, and to be fair, it's not final software, but it's a little bit concerning. You know, this custom OS has to do far more than just a normal standard phone, and it is evident, you know, to see the likes of the latest Snapdragon 855, 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, you know, top specs here. Seeing this device struggle is a little bit worrying. Again, I must point out this isn't final software, and other manufacturers will handle the software differently as well. So again, if we're talking smartphones that are foldable in general, this might not be such an issue. But I can foresee devices in 2019 like this struggling due to the fact that with anything that's first gen in tech, there are always kinks that need to be sort of ironed out. Now in terms of the actual display here, there was slight evidence on the showroom models of display burn-in, and the actual display on the Flexpai, it wasn't terrible by any means, but it certainly wasn't of the highest standard. Now things like display quality will again vary from brand to brand, but the worry is this technology hasn't been tested again in everyday use over, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years to see whether there are display issues in that fold crease. Yes, they'll be testing them in factories, for example, but we all know that that can vary when it gets out into the real world. And display issues have been found in recent years with this flexible display technology. And my final point, and probably my most important one, is who is this device actually for? Is it for individuals? Is it for businesses? Because I don't know about you, but I just think in this current form, it just looks a bit silly using it as a phone, does it not? Hello? If you have one, you might end up looking like a sketch from Trigger Happy.
Hello? No, I'm in an art gallery. No, it's rubbish. Yeah, total rubbish. Yeah, ciao.
It's just, in its current form factor, too big, in my opinion, to actually kind of work in its primary function as a phone, first and foremost. And due to its size, even when folded down, it's probably still big to even fit in your pocket. I get that this technology can be absolutely amazing for other things, advertising, clothing, accessories, all of this sort of stuff, which might potentially have a better function than a phone. So on a fundamental level, who's going to buy this device when it doesn't quite work for its number one use, which, as I said, is a phone? Impressive? Absolutely. Incredibly impressive. Practical? Buyable? I'm not so sure. So even before you factor in the price, which is, I mean, it's going to be extortionate. It's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be upwards, like I said, of over £1,000 for one of these devices. Before you even factor that in, I honestly don't know who this style of product is marketed at. Don't get me wrong, you know what, I'd like to get one into the studio and test it and actually see whether these skepticisms and hesitations are actually cleared up. Yes, of course, I'd love to review one for you guys, but I can only really pass on my sort of overall first impressions from hands-on at the showroom and the information that I have to me right now on watching the consumer market and seeing how you guys respond to videos and posts about these sort of products. Because obviously there's been lots of press and coverage and excitement about this Royole Flexpai, but I kind of feel that journalists and video creators have just been getting a little bit too excited without actually sitting down and asking the right questions. You know, instead of focusing on the what and the how, maybe they should be focusing more on the why and what for. I do honestly feel that soon it will become apparent what this sort of flexible foldable display technology is kind of best used for, but currently in this form factor for this purpose, I just don't think it quite works. And I personally feel they need to stop focusing on foldable, flexible phones like this in this form factor and actually look more at where this technology, this flexible, foldable display technology can actually A, really benefit us, but also B, where there's a end user demand for it. Because currently, and I may be wrong, and please let me know in the comment section below, I don't feel that there's a market for it right now. I don't know how many people are going to want to go out and spend the hard-earned cash on a device like this. Like I said, could be wrong. I could be sitting back looking at this in 5 years' time feeling very stupid as people wander the streets with massive, trigger-happy, pizza box size foldable smartphones. You never know. It's just what I feel right now. And sadly, that's it for me and Vegas. So I've still got plenty of footage from CES which I'm compiling together to create more quality content for you guys, and I will be probably putting those together and uploading those once I get back to the UK. So stay tuned for a whole lot of weird and wonderful tech which is fresh out of the blocks from CES 2019. If you want to stay up to date with all of that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, turn on the notification bell so that when I post those videos you are notified. Like and share this video if you did enjoy it and found it helpful. Las Vegas has chewed me up and spat me out. I'm ready to go home now. So I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. ASBYT, peace out.